Hey everyone, how's it going? So a quick video here where I'm going to answer a question that two different patrons sent in, and I was literally replying to direct messages just now on my Patreon page, and back to back got this same question, and I've never gotten this question before. So I want to talk about it. It's about practicing guitar when one of your hands is injured. First thing I want to say is I'm like the furthest thing from a doctor, and be careful, don't like trust me for medical advice and everything. I will say also that I broke my wrist about a year ago. So I kind of went through something like this similarly. So here's how I would think about this. If one of your hands is injured, right, say for a few weeks, if your left hand was injured, so if you couldn't make chords, but you wanted to keep your skills fresh, I think I would recommend looking for ways to practice with your right hand. So some thoughts that come to mind are, things like when I teach strumming patterns, I'll typically give a pattern and then sort of show you with the muted strings here. So I'm muting with my hands, right? You could practice strumming like this. You could literally put on a song that you're interested in learning and strum along in this manner, right? This is going to give you a sense of just rhythm practice. You're working on your ear training because you're literally listening. And an important part of music I'm finding is not just playing yourself, but also listening to other music and staying in the beat. So that could be a great thing to practice. I wouldn't use your left hand at all. Maybe just once or twice a day, put on a song, figure out the strumming pattern, and then somehow silence the strings with your hand, maybe tie like a shirt or a scarf or a sock around it or something. Basically, you don't want to have to be concerned about, am I making the right notes? It's all about your right hand finding that groove, right? So you could put on a song, you could strum along even as it's playing. That could be a great thing to practice. It's going to sort of give you those things, those skills and reps. Another thing you could do is work on finger picking, right? Now, back when I was learning Travis picking, I know it was very hard for me to get used to this right thumb sort of alternating between strings. And I would do the same thing, is I would put on songs. Like I'd put on John Prine and sort of follow along like this, keep that rhythm. And another thing you could do is do that sort of pattern and sing over it, right? Like if I'm doing Clay Pigeons, I'm going down to the Greyhound station, I'm gonna find a ticket to ride. Sometimes it can be tricky to keep a steady eighth note pattern like I'm doing with my thumb here, while also singing, if singing's what you're interested in. If singing's not what you're interested in, just find things you could do, mute the strings, and you could work on a picking pattern, whatever picking pattern you're doing. I think listening along to music, I think would be a great way to do this. That way you're not going to be as quickly bored by just the lack of cool sound that you're making, because this isn't about making cool sounds. That's ultimately like one thing that's a drawback if you're practicing with just one hand here. So it's all about, I think, getting the reps in of just that muscle memory, whether it's strumming or whether it's finger picking, right? Now, if your right hand was injured and you couldn't do any strumming, couldn't do any finger picking, just the first thought that came to mind, again, not an expert, not really experienced here, but you could sort of practice the chord, whatever song you want to learn, find out what the chords are, and literally put your hand in that shape. Again, depending on the state of your right hand, even if you could just strum it with your pinky or something with your hand, to make the sound, that could give you the sort of validation that, hey, I'm playing this C chord cleanly. Hey, I'm playing this D chord cleanly. Hey, I'm playing this E flat major 7 cleanly. Whatever the chords are, you could go through them, sort of change them cleanly with your left hand, get in that good position, go to the next chord, go between chord shapes. I think this could be something you do too, just going between your C and your G and your B minor and your F sharp minor, C, I'm just making up chord shapes here. Again, this would be tricky to do and not get bored by it. So if you can put on songs or do this while you're watching TV, like just something where your brain is thinking about something else, I think this could be a way where you could get some reps in. Another thing you could do with your left hand is work on like those spider exercises where you're sort of going up the strings every fret. You could, I guess, do that maybe. Just practice, 1, 2, 3, 4 on whatever frets you're on. Again, it might not be the most like mentally engaging thing, but if you just work on like getting a clean press on your fingertip and the fleshy part, push down, release, push down, release, push down, release. Do this while you're watching TV, while you're otherwise distracted. If you did this, 5 or 10 minutes a couple times a day, I think that's going to just keep your calluses built up. You're not doing anything with your right hand, but you're sort of getting the motion in with your left. And you could even you could technically play a major scale, like, the shapes. So, there's no reason you couldn't sort of look into that, fretboard theory or whatever, and sort of go through the patterns. It's not going to be as satisfying as practicing with two hands, but it might be helpful for you. The last thing I'll say, and this is not just a disclaimer, but be careful. When I hurt my wrist, I made some lessons because I kind of, I wanted to get things out, and I found that I could kind of do this, but ultimately, like after 10 or 15 minutes, just moving my arm that much would hurt my wrist. So just be careful. Like don't whatever hand's injured, be careful about not rushing it back. Healing a hand is like, you want to get it healed as quick as you can. Let it heal. Like, time's going to go by. It's going to happen. Just give it the time it needs. Don't always sort of try to use it until it hurts or whatever, because then you're probably not going to be healing as good, and I don't want that. So anyway, I hope this is helpful. Ryan and Melinda, best of luck with your recoveries. I hope you're back and playing in no time. Give it time, but those are just some quick ideas I had. Hope they were helpful, and thank you all very much for the support. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye-bye, my friends. Take care.